Hello, my dear students, and a very warm welcome back. I know your exams are just around the corner, and things can get a little tense. But hey, don't you worry one bit, because I'm here to make this chapter, Body Fluids and Circulation, super simple for you. Okay, so I want you to imagine your body is this huge, busy city. Think of a place like Mumbai or Delhi. Now, how does a city like that get everything it needs? Food, water, parcels. It needs a massive delivery network, right? Well, that is exactly what our circulatory system is. It's our body's own personal, super fast delivery service. So here's our simple game plan for today. We're going to start with the traffic itself. Yep, we're talking all about blood. Then we'll check out the main pumping station, which is our heart. After that, we'll look at the superhighways that this traffic uses to get around. We'll also see what happens when the traffic goes wrong, and then we'll wrap it all up with a quick-fire exam recap to make sure you're absolutely ready. Cello, let's get started. All right, first things first, let's talk about the traffic. What is it that's constantly moving through all the streets and lanes of our body city? Well, it's blood, of course. Blood is the ultimate delivery guy, carrying absolutely everything from fresh oxygen and nutrients all the way to picking up the waste products. And you know what? Blood is actually a lot simpler than you might think. It's really made of just two main parts. About 55% of it is this yellowish liquid called plasma. Just think of plasma as the liquid road that everything travels on. The other 45%? Well, that's what we call the formed elements. These are the actual vehicles, the trucks and cars, doing all the important work. And what a team of vehicles it is. Within those formed elements, we have three main superstars. First up, we've got the red blood cells, or RBCs. These are our hardworking delivery trucks, carrying precious oxygen. Then we have the white blood cells, the WBCs. They're like the city's police force, fighting off any bad guys or intruders. And last but not least, we have the platelets, our super quick emergency road repair crew. So let's zoom in on our most important vehicle, the RBC, also known as an erythrocyte. Its main job is to act like an oxygen taxi. And it does this using a special protein called hemoglobin. But what's really going to blow your mind is the number of these things. In a single tiny drop of your blood, you have about 50 to 55 lakh of these cells. Can you even imagine that? It's just incredible. Now, our police force, the WBCs, isn't just one unit. It has different departments or divisions. We basically group them into two types, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Just think of them as different kinds of police officers for different jobs. For your exam, the most important one to remember is that neutrophils are the most common type, and they are the first ones to arrive at the scene of an infection. They're our first line of defense. Okay, let's talk about blood groups. How do we make sure that a blood transfusion is safe? It's all about matching these groups. The easiest way to think about it is that every blood cell has a unique license plate. The antigens on the RBCs are like the specific letters and numbers on that plate. If you put a vehicle with the wrong license plate into a new city, well, the police force will see it as an invader and attack, causing a huge traffic jam. And that brings us to a very common exam question. I'm sure you've heard it before. Why are people with blood group O known as universal donors? Take a moment, think about that license plate idea we just talked about. Got it? Well, here's the simple answer. It's because their red blood cells have a blank license plate. They don't have any A or B antigens on their surface. So when their blood goes into someone else's body, the new body's police force looks at it and says, there's no suspicious license plate here, so it just lets it pass without any trouble. See? Bilkul simple hai. So what happens if there's a crack in one of our roads? A pothole appears. That's when our amazing emergency repair crew, the platelets, just spring into action. They get the signal that there's an injury, they all rush to the spot, and with the help of some special proteins like fibrin, they create this tiny net, a little jala, that plugs the hole. This whole process is called coagulation, and it's what stops us from bleeding too much. Okay, so we've talked about the traffic and the repair crew. But what's the thing that keeps everything moving 24/7 without ever taking a break? For that, we need a powerful central pumping station. And that, my dear students, is our amazing, tireless heart. Let's take a look inside this incredible power station. You'll see it has 4 main rooms, or chambers. The 2 smaller ones on top, the atria, are like the receiving docks where all the blood arrives. The 2 bigger, much stronger chambers at the bottom, the ventricles, are like the shipping departments. They pump the blood out with so much force that it reaches every single corner of our city. But have you ever stopped to wonder what actually tells the heart to beat? Does the brain do it? Nope. The heart has its own automatic starter button. It's a special little patch of tissue called the sinoatrial node, or SAN for short. The SAN is the boss. It generates the little spark of electricity that starts every single heartbeat. It's our body's natural pacemaker, and this is exactly why we call the heart myogenic. And this whole process, one complete heartbeat, which we call the cardiac cycle, it happens in less time than it takes to snap your fingers. It's all over in just 0.8 seconds. It's a perfect sequence. For 0.1 seconds, the atria contract. Then, for 0.3 seconds, the powerful ventricles contract. And for the last 0.4 seconds, everybody just chills out and relaxes. Boom, boom, relax. All in 0.8 seconds.
Now, here's a number you absolutely must remember for your exam. 70 milliliters. What is that? That's the stroke volume. It's the amount of blood that each ventricle pumps out with every single beat. Now, 70 milliliters might not sound like a lot, right? But think about it. Your heart beats around 72 times a minute. If you do the math, that means your heart is pumping over 5 liters of blood every minute. That's like pumping out 2.5 large bottles of cold drink every 60 seconds. How incredible is that?
So we have the pump and we have the traffic. What's missing? The roads, of course. Our body has this huge, complex network of roads, but they're all neatly organized into two main superhighways, or circuits. Now, please pay close attention to this diagram. It's super important. The first route, which you see here in blue, is the pulmonary highway. This takes the deoxygenated blood, the used blood, from the heart to the lungs so it can pick up some fresh oxygen. The second route, in red, is the systemic highway. This takes that fresh, oxygen-rich blood and delivers it to every other part of the body city. Because we have these two separate highways, we call it a double circulation system. Remember that term. Of course, just like in any huge city, sometimes things can go wrong with the transport system. So let's just quickly touch upon some of the common traffic problems or disorders that can happen in our body. First, we have hypertension, or high blood pressure. That's simply when there's too much pressure in the pipes. Then there's coronary artery disease, or CAD. This is like a really bad traffic jam caused by fat and cholesterol blocking up the roads that supply the heart itself. Angina is that chest pain you might feel when the heart muscle isn't getting enough oxygen. And finally, heart failure is what happens when the main pump just gets too weak and can't supply enough blood to the whole city. And that's it. That's the whole chapter. See, I told you it wasn't so bad. For your exam, let's just quickly go over the absolute most important things to remember. But listen to me. Don't panic. You know this stuff now. You've totally got this. If you remember only one thing from today, please let it be these two diagrams. One shows the pump, our 4-chambered heart. The other shows the highways, the double circulation pathway. Seriously, if you can draw and explain these two diagrams, you are going to do fantastically well in your exam. That's my promise to you. And before we go, I have a little challenge for all you brilliant students out there. We talked about the platelets being the road repair crew, but what is the exact role of calcium ions in that whole clotting process? Go on, have a look in your textbook, find the answer, and then let me know what you find in the comments below. All the very, very best for your exams, my dears. Keep studying smart, and I'll see you in the next one.